Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're back for our afternoon session for the training on digital technologies. And this afternoon, we will be having our session on cloud computing. But of course, to answer your questions on the attendance and certificates, the attendance for this webinar is being automatically captured and recorded by Zoom application. So no need to log in for your attendance. And for our certificates, make sure that you join the live session via Zoom or Facebook Live and submit the post evaluation that is given at the end of the training session, which will be tomorrow. And make sure to pass the quiz, which will be strictly accessible only until 12 midnight tomorrow. That is on our second day of the training. Your e-certificates will be given within 1 to 2 weeks, and a passing score of 70% is required to complete the course. So those who will be able to satisfactorily comply with the training requirements mentioned will be given a certificate of participation. So that's just a few reminders for our webinar on digital transformation technologies. And now to proceed for our second session this day. Let me introduce to you our speaker for this afternoon. Okay, so our speaker for this afternoon is Sir Raul Vincent Lumapas. And just a few background about him. He is actually the current department chair of the Information Technology Department of the Ateneo de Davao University. And he is also the director of Ateneo de Davao Research and Information Systems and Software Engineering Laboratory, or the Arisan Lab. And he is also the project coordinator for Access Mindanao project. Let's give it a virtual round of applause to our speaker for cloud computing, Mr. Raul Vincent Lumapas. Mayong hapon, Sir Raul. You're on mute, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to our friends from the Mindanao Cluster 1, particularly our administrators in the Mindanao Cluster 1. So kanina I saw si Sir Jacob, who's a very good friend of ours in Ateneo de Davao for our projects. And then we also have even though without wala dito no si Director Tess. Thank you very much. And to the other administrators, members of the Mindanao Cluster 1, and to the audience. So I think I would start if it's okay for with everyone now. So I'll keep it easy. I'll keep it light as much as possible. Unfortunately, we don't have any demos compared similar to this morning session. Because this morning session was quite actually technical in terms of really going towards what IoT solution we currently have, no, and what the DOST has presented as an IoT solution that they are currently implementing in their projects. But for my talk, it is much more structured and much more theoretical. We will be discussing more of the concepts related to cloud computing. So I will just share my screen. I hope you can see my screen. Okay. Makita ba? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? And hopefully the screen that is displayed is the one in the presentation of the notes. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay, good. So good afternoon again. Good afternoon to everyone. I am Raul Vincent Lumapas. I am the director of the Ateneo de Davao Research and Information Systems and Software Engineering Laboratory and the current department chair of the Information Technology Department, the academic department, an academic department of Ateneo de Davao University. I'm not so sure if we have friends here from the Ateneo de Zamboanga University. If there are, if some participants from our sister school is here and some alumni, hello there, and other audience coming from the different areas here in the Philippines. It is quite very overwhelming to see this amount or this number of people in a webinar conducted by the DICT. So before that, I would like to congratulate the Mindanao Cluster 1. And I hope that I would be able to give a very fulfilling and a very informative session for this afternoon. So to move on, let's start. I'll just show a video. Hopefully it gets through. I'll be giving out the presentation slide by the end of my presentation. It's already available and it's in PDF format, so at least people can look at it immediately. So I hope the audio pushes through. So let's see.
Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing.
Can you hear the audio, by the way?
It's a little faint po yung audio.
Sige po. Okay. Yeah, here you go.
And maintaining physical data centers and servers. You can access Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. Instead of buying, owning, and maintaining physical data centers and servers, you can access technology services such as computing power, storage, and databases on an as-needed basis from a cloud provider like Amazon Web Services. Organizations of every type, size, and industry are using the cloud for a wide variety of use cases, such as data backup, disaster recovery, email, virtual desktops, software development and testing, big data analytics, and customer-facing web applications. For example, healthcare companies are using the cloud to develop more personalized treatments for patients. Financial services companies are using the cloud to power real-time fraud detection and prevention. And video game makers are using the cloud to deliver online games to millions of players around the world. With cloud computing, your business can become more agile, reduce costs, instantly scale, and deploy globally in minutes. Cloud computing gives you instant access to a broad range of technologies so you can innovate faster and build nearly anything you can imagine. From infrastructure services such as compute, storage, and databases, to Internet of Things, machine learning, data analytics, and much more. You can deploy technology services in a matter of minutes and get from idea to implementation several orders of magnitude faster than before. This gives you the freedom to experiment and test new ideas to differentiate customer experiences and transform your business, such as adding machine learning and intelligence to your applications in order to personalize experiences for your customers and improve their engagement. You don't need to make large upfront investments in hardware and overpay for capacity you don't use. Instead, you could trade capital expense for variable expense and only pay for IT as you consume it. With cloud computing, you access resources from the cloud in real time as they're needed. You can scale these resources up and down to grow or shrink capacity instantly as your business needs change. Cloud computing also makes it easy to expand to new regions and deploy globally in minutes. For example, Amazon Web Services has infrastructure all over the world, so you're able to deploy your application in multiple physical locations in just a few clicks. Putting applications in closer proximity to end users reduces latency and improves their experience. No matter your location, size, or industry, the cloud frees you from managing infrastructure and data centers, so you can focus on what matters most to your business.
Okay, so that actually is a video from AWS, which is one of the biggest vendors of cloud services here in the world. So I'll try my best not to be vendor specific in terms of my talk. So you might see less mention of what the specific technologies are available in each specific cloud-based services or cloud service businesses or organization. So the talk that we will be having right now is a crash course on cloud computing. And tomorrow, by the way, I'll be your speaker pa rin, no, in our artificial intelligence and machine learning crash course for tomorrow. Okay. So that was a video from AWS. So these are the topic outline this is the topic outline rather for my presentation this afternoon. So we will start first with cloud basics, and then what drives an organization or enterprise to the cloud adoption framework and key dimensions, and very important that we will need to talk is on cloud security. Okay, so let's start first before going to the specific topics on cloud services. Let us try to appreciate first the state of ICT in the Philippines. Before I forget, siguro I think it would be nice to, before we start really with the topics, no, would it be okay to see siguro raising of hands for those belonging in specific categories, no, or job categories. So I hope that you can hear me, no? So anyone who are from the academe, so teachers, professors, or any teachers and professors. You know yung mga teachers and professors here, so that we can check out of the 300 kung ilan ang teachers and professors coming from the academe, both from the basic education unit and the higher education unit. Okay, 10, 11. Wala nang ibang from the academe. Medyo ano pa, sige daw. Sa 30 seconds. Oh, 14, 15. Okay. Medyo konti lang yung sa academe natin, no? 15. Okay? So you can hands down na yung yung virtual hand, no? Who among the participants are from the industry? So anyone who are IT developers, project managers, ano pa ba? Quality assurance or testing. Anyone from the ICT industry? So anyone? I feel ko marami yung sa ICT industry. Okay. I guess this would make the bulk of the attendees for this program, no? Who among you here are from the government? Anyone? Government employees, government workers, administrators, heads? I think majority siguro are from the government, no? So yung iba siguro ay are on their phones right now, kaya hindi siguro maka-navigate that much, no? Okay, sige. Okay. At least we have a variety of people in this webinar. So pwede na mag-hands down. Okay. So why am I asking you your profession? No, it's because cloud services is a very complicated, in a sense, a very complicated topic. That is why when we talk about cloud services, we usually see a lot of vendors going to your organization, companies, your schools, no, presenting their products, no, presenting their services to you, giving you the benefit of availing such services, so on and so forth. But if we look at it, cloud services is actually a very, very straightforward concept when it comes to the much more personal or individual level. we are actually using cloud services at the moment. For example, like this recording might be uploaded to the cloud later on, or the presentation of the previous speaker is uploaded in Google Drive, for example, and can be accessed by anyone. And that is a very simple form of cloud services that we usually avail in and we usually encounter in our daily lives. So how does cloud services affect the way we navigate through the digital world? No, we can actually see, nor we can get a glimpse of how big, no, the services, internet services, cloud services, and digitally transformed services have an impact on each individual Filipinos. And this has been demonstrated by the Global State of Digital in 2020, 2021 by Hootsuite and We Are Social. So I'll be showing you some statistics, and I will just browse over this presentation slide, and you can check it out later on if you want the details, specific details. Okay, so, sorry. Okay. Nabaliktad ako ang presentation. Sorry. Na pala. Yan. Sorry. Okay. So the Philippines currently has around 110 million people, but our cellular or mobile connections actually is much bigger than the population, the Philippine population. And we have around 73.91%, 73.91 million people, around 67% in our population here in the Philippines that are internet users, and 89 million people are actually active social media users. So when we talk about device ownership, we have a percentage of users age 16 to 64 as part of the statistics. So you would see that 98.5 among those internet users are using smartphones. And this bears a big implication. Why? Because when we play games, for example, like ML, no? Or machine learning and isunod sa kutok. Mobile Legends, for example, you're actually accessing internet services coming from the company who created Mobile Legends. You're actually saving your data, your character data, your progress, your level, for example, in the cloud or in the internet store or in the storage of that particular company. And as I said, we are really affected by how the cloud performs, no, and how cloud is improving all throughout the years. We have taken a very big leap towards the utilization of internet services currently available in education because of the current pandemic. We are using Zoom right now, and hence we are using the services of Zoom. We are using cloud services in Zoom to save our presentation, our recording, so on and so forth. We also are using different learning management systems. We are using like Moodle, for example, Edmodo, or Blackboard to teach our students who are at different places at the current time. And that is enabled by internet services, particularly cloud services. So we are really affected as to how the cloud operates. So here's statistics of how long we spend our specific acts, no, or specific internet acts daily. So we usually have around 10 hours and 56 minutes of internet time. So this might actually count work time because we usually use the internet to access our work. For teachers, you file your documents with DepEd, for example. For those working in the government, you upload your progress reports or your documents to a specific cloud-based service like Google Drive, no? And we have we stream, no? We watch internet, we watch TV, as indicated earlier in the previous speaker rather. We have smart refrigerators, for example, that enables IoT devices, and that's also enabled in in our television. So we stream Netflix, we stream iFlix, for example, or View, no, or IQE, for example, no. And the thing that we do in the internet is to spend some time in social media, so or listen to music. So we really spend a lot of time in the usage of internet connectivity. So let's just dive deeper in terms of internet use. So here's an overview of internet use, no, or viewing the key indicators of internet adoption and use. So we have around, as indicated earlier, we have 67% of Filipinos using the internet, and we spend around 10 hours using different platforms in the internet. So we have the following data, comparison from different sources as to internet consumption in the Philippines. And you have this following website traffic coming from SEMrush. So as of December 2020, according to SEMrush, we have Filipinos have visited, in average, the following site. Usually, consolidating rather, the total number of visits, unique visits, or meaning the unique number of participants or users visiting that site, and the time per visit or page per visit. So it's quite fascinating to look at this particular chart because we use google.com, we use Facebook, YouTube, Wikipedia, and some other sites that I will skip for obvious reasons, no. So you have different sites there, very unique sites. You have Twitter, and then you have Lazada, no? Sir, bakit mo gi-skip yung number 5? Well, we consume, no? Filipinos consume a lot of those content pa rin, no? And so that gives you an insight as to how big internet services are in the Philippines, given that you have around 750 million just for Google, wherein 40 million unique users spend around 30 minutes using Google alone, no? And we have other sites as well, no? Other specific sites that are catering to the specific needs of people. Like, for example, for those who are working, you're using Google to access Google Drive or Gmail, for example. For those who are doing social media businesses or utilizing social media, for example, to highlight your business, use Facebook or Twitter. Or once you want to enjoy, no, you use YouTube, no, or Instagram, for example. And for some other cases, the number 5, 8, and 16 there. So yeah. So I skipped like a lot. Okay, there you go. So here are the traffic share by device, age, and gender. And you would see that even at around 65 years old and above, we have a lot of users pa rin coming from that particular age bracket. But you would see that the heavy number of users at around the millennial side, no, at around 25 to 34 years old. It is quite fascinating, no? It is quite fascinating that we see this particular statistics because this explains our utilization online. So 99.4 usually of those who use internet connectivity watch online videos, watch vlogs, and this became very popular with the emergence of vloggers, for example. And then online privacy. So I'll just skip this: social media use, social media behaviors. You can check out those statistics later on. Okay, because it's already 1:39. Again, I will just highlight this. We also have an increase in terms of utilization for e-commerce. We have utilized a lot of online business platforms such as Lazada, Shopee, or Food Panda, for example. No? So we have here an overview of e-commerce activity. So you have research online by product, visited online retail store, use shopping app, and then purchase a product online. Actually, no, good point pointed out by Sir Cabasal, no, Sir Mario. Also, gaming has a very big implication in terms of internet service utilization. I'll just go back, no, to show it to you. So if you would see, use Usually people would spend around 1 hour and 31 minutes, 1 hour and 31 minutes to utilize gaming platforms. So this has been very common even for older generations, nor for older people. They use internet games, nor use internet games to enjoy. So we have 72.1% accessing game applications. So even the basic games like Plants vs Zombies or Candy Crush, no, or any other games that are in at the current time, no. So there's a heavy utilization of internet connectivity. So yeah. So we also use digital payments to pay for our products that we avail. Okay, now let's go to cloud basics. Given those statistics, we have at least an appreciation of the utilization, as I've indicated earlier, the utilization of internet services by individuals or by Filipinos. And the cloud plays a very important role. Cloud computing plays a very important role in the utilization of, in our individual internet activities. You might have not recognized it. You might have not placed the systems for cloud services. But if you're using iPhone, for example, you might have seen this very persistent pop-up of iCloud, for example, or you have access Google Drive, or you have sent a file or sent a video to someone online. Those are typical usage of cloud services online. Setting up cloud services are quite complicated, because there are different ways of setting up this type of services. There are also different mechanisms, different considerations, and different treatments that you will need to apply or that you would need to configure once you are going to deploy a cloud service. So I will be explaining it to you later on. So I will be taking up a bulk of the time to explain to you the cloud basics. So, okay pa ba mo? Buhay pa ba? Okay pa? Thumbs up lang po. Okay pa? Okay? Buhay pa, no? Kanina oras, it's, kanina oras, it's, oras di peligro kaayo ni, kay tingtulog jud siya. So, by the way, I'll be talking in English so that I think we have different or various audiences from different places, So, okay pa, buhay pa. So, if you have any questions, you can just use, the question and answer module, and I try to answer your question as soon as possible, so that later on, we would be able to answer much more complicated questions, so that you won't need to go back for So yun. So let's start. Okay, let's start with cloud basics. Sorry. Nag-skip ko. Sandali lang ha. Dito na lang ako magana. Okay, here. Sorry for that. Okay. So, let's talk first about drivers, business drivers to the cloud. Let's try to define cloud computing first. As defined by the 2011 National Institute of Standards and Technology in the US, cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources such as computer networks, servers, storage, and other services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. So, medyo mahirap i-digest yung definition kasi mahaba and there are a lot of complicated terms in it. So, let's try to break it down little by little. So, when we talk about ubiquitous, convenient on-demand network, cloud services are available 24/7 as long as there are no delays and interruption or there are no maintenance, it's available 24/7 as usually, and can be accessed by anytime, anywhere, as long as you have the proper access, to that particular cloud-based service. So take note that it is shared by different computing resources, not just your computers, no, but it can be accessed by different computing modules or computing technologies, no, such as your cell phones or your iPads or tablets or your computers. So you might have experience the uploading Google Drive, uploading to Google Drive using your mobile phone. No, flash drives currently are now somehow not used anymore. No, it becomes actually at the level of being not I would not say obsolete. No, but with less utilization of USB devices because of the risk associated using those devices. No, so we transitioned and we went to cloud-based services, uploading our documents, sending our documents, attaching our documents in emails, for example, so that we can send it over to a particular person. And that utilizes cloud-based services. Since, again, it's available, readily available, it's convenient, and once you want to use it, it's on demand, meaning that you can use it and you can use it as there is a need, no, as the need arises rather. So it can be rapidly be provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. So this is a very good point that we need to point out when we talk about cloud services. When we talk about cloud services, if you as an organization avails a cloud service or deploys a cloud-based service, usually or rarely manage that cloud-based service and take note of it. No, maybe your IT guy, no, in the company or IT team in the company would need to monitor it every now and then. But usually cloud-based services are charged as you utilize or charged as you use. No, so you would be able to see, no, na you would be able to see that you would be able to see sorry ha, naglag ko. You would be able to see the costs associated with the utilization of your service. So I want you to take note, for example, in our case, no, our team in Arisen has been deploying a mobile application, no, so we have developers here. And you might have an experience using cloud-based services such as Firebase, for example, or Google Cloud Services. So every time there's a read or write, meaning someone uses the mobile app, it actually charges your organization. And sometimes you would get an email that around 0.05 cents, no, or as $0.05 is charged to your company because of this particular access. So it is very convenient as for developers because it gives you at least an insight of how big the utilizations are without giving much hassle, no, and it actually, no, limits service provider interaction. And that is why when you have siguro some of you have encountered someone from Amazon Web Services. Sino dito ang naka-encounter na someone from AWS or from SaaS, dili SaaS is for tomorrow pa. AWS, Azure, for example, Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud Services, Alibaba Services rin, meron rin. Oh, meron si Sir. So Sir Jimwell uses AWS at work. So AWS is a very, 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 very popular platform. Very popular platform. How is it popular? No, why is it popular? You will see later on. But a glimpse as to the popularity of AWS is that most of the services that you have in internet services, the sites that you're availing, in one way or another, may have availed of AWS services. Because AWS started earlier, no, way ahead of their competitors like Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, for example. They have utilized this very profitable platform of hosting. you might have encountered, no, you might have encountered deployment of, for some of you, deploying of website. Di ba? Very hassle. If you're a web developer in the year 2010, for example, you're a web developer, and then as compared, and you're still doing IT stuff, no, IT work at the current time, you would see a very big change in terms of the utilization, or sorry, of the deployment of internet websites, or websites in general, compared for this year and, sorry, and 10 years ago, for example. So 10 years ago, you would need to think about, where will I host my site? What would be domain considerations, security considerations? But we have a lot of internet domain, or internet or web-based platforms, or web-based services such as GoDaddy, or sorry, GoDaddy kung nainunduan. Well, such as GoDaddy, no? And maybe some of you might have other tawag dito, nakalimutan ko na, sorry. So yeah, like GoDaddy, or so may mga very popular na mga deployment sites karon. Yeah, sorry. Naglag ko. Or WordPress, for example, also has services, no, related to you also have your Google Web Services, no, and other hosting services such as Bluehost, Vercel, Heroku app, for example, no. So mas madali na mag-deploy ngayon compared before. You don't need to think about those considerations. Saan ako magde-deploy ng storage system? Do I need to purchase a server, for example, for storage? You don't need to do that anymore at the current time, because you can just pay for the services which are available in different web-based services. So for example, yung mga web-based services like GoDaddy, in one way or another, has availed some services, no, in other cloud-based cloud service organizations or businesses like AWS, no. So inana na siya. So just for one slide, I think I took some time just talking about one slide. So I'll just rapidly wrap up this. So we have different essential characteristics of cloud computing. This explains the advantage. No, explains the advantage for utilizing cloud computing. The same organization, no, the NIST, defines cloud computing as having the following essential characteristics. So it's cloud computing if it has this particular characteristics. And why do we look at the different definitions of cloud deployment, no, or for example, computing deployment processes, no, or systems? Because there are a lot of other emerging computing processes, no, like green computing. You have different hybrid implementations. You have your own, maybe in your organization, you have your own internal deployment of your systems, no, or your mechanisms, no. So we define the cloud computing as follows. So we have first on-demand self-service. So when we talk about on-demand self-service, consumers can obtain computing capabilities such as server time or network storage, as I've indicated earlier, as needed automatically on their own. So you don't need to talk to your vendor. Hey, can you please give me some storage space? Can you please configure in your servers that I'll be allocated with this particular storage space? You don't need that anymore, because using much modern cloud-based services, allocations to a specific service in cloud organizations or cloud businesses, you can just configure it in your own, or you can just have or utilize as you go. No, when I say utilize as you go, you just utilize the services that they have and pay later on, or think about think about the unnecessary payments or unnecessary exchanges or for the utilization of resources. Sorry. Okay, here you go. So next, ubiquitous network access. So when we talk about ubiquitous network access, so it's cloud resources can be accessed using standard network and internet devices, including mobile platforms. So you can access it anywhere using your phone, for example, or using your even smartwatch, or even what was defined earlier in the IoT presentation, no? Even your smart refrigerators or smart TVs might have used ubiquitous network access, or you might have utilized rather cloud computing in one way or another. Sir, paano natin i-relate yung IoT session kanina with cloud computing? It's look at it this way. As explained now, no, cloud computing can be used in different platforms, different systems. So it was defined by I forgot the name of the speaker, but sir from DOST, no, na DOST to about IoT. By the way, if you have questions, I think it would be good that you just type it so that I can answer it. Yeah, si Sir Aris, no, thank you for that, no. So Sir Aris has defined it very well, no? Has defined it very well earlier. You can use internet services. That's why you call it as IoT, Internet of Things. You can utilize internet services towards or in your Arduino board or your Raspberry Pi, for example, in order to send data or store data or avail of certain services like web hosting, for example. You can do that because you're connected to the internet and you're availing of a particular service. You might have dumped your data. You might have dumped your data from your RPi, for example, towards a FTP server, FTP server, or your own data repository, no? So when you have this internet module coming from voice, for example, or coming from your voice na katong nagalutaw sa dagat, no, because of you have some testing or you have implemented it, no, as a tracker, for example, for agriculture. You can use it, connect it to the internet, and send or process data across the system. So you might have been using cloud services to do that because you have less number of data or less amount of data, less access, and it is very practical to use cloud-based services for that. No? So yun. So I'll just open this up. Okay. So yeah. Next, we also have location independent resource pooling. Okay. So when we talk about location independent resource pooling, no, computing resources are pooled to serve multiple users with different virtual resources dynamically assigned according to each particular user demand, no, to a particular user demand. So the user generally does not know where the computing resources are located. So no, there are multiple users. That's quite obvious, no? Once you use Google Drive, it will not cut other users to use Google Drive as well, no? So it means that it does not depend on any location or any network infrastructure that has been currently been implemented in your organization. It's not similar to to dial up before. Now once someone is on the telephone, your internet gets cut off. No, you can access resources even though there are others who are accessing it, and the amount of resources that is being allocated to you depends on your utilization. Okay. Hi po, so Sir Aleo. So hi po, can you suggest a cloud storage pod that can store a lot of data? Because as far as I know, Google Drive has a limited storage pod. We'll be talking about storage later on, but it's good that you have brought it up, Sir Muhammad. No, cloud services is not free. Let us take note of that. Google Drive is limited because they have decided to be so that you would avail more. We have increased dependence already towards storage, cloud storage, and hence they actually know when we really need resources like that, no? But based on well, good implementation of cloud storage. The much cheaper ones, I have not utilized it for personal kasi. I have utilized OneDrive for documents most of the time, because OneDrive, when you have Microsoft 365, does not have any limit. So it depends on utilization. For Google for Education, if you're an educator, it's unlimited. It's actually virtually unlimited in a sense, but Google has already changed their marketing strategy and their contract or their terms, no? So for those who are using workspace or education, and for education, and you have your organizational accounts, you need to check with your administrators, because as far as I know, they'll be limiting it to 50 GB per user starting January 2022. So for those who are saying Google for Education, medyo yes, oo, unlimited po siya, pero as I've said, you need to check with your IT department, because there is a change in contract in terms of Google Education. So, since magbabago na yung terms and conditions nila, what would happen is that, and the agreement is that your files should, I am not so sure what would happen. I have not read the contract nor the updated contract or agreement, but it will not support it anymore. Let me check for verification. Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah, they have changed their policy. So they have recently announced a storage model that provides schools with a baseline of 100 TB na lang. So it means that all of those who are under that organization will get 100 terabytes. So if you're a smaller school availing of your DepEd infrastructure, if it's lodged to a specific school, then it's better. Kasi kung for example, taga-DepEd ka and then isang school, ilan lang man kayo teachers sa school and staff, so buta na to 15. So you can have around 10 terabytes pa rin, no? But there's a change in the agreement. So check with there's nothing wrong checking with your ICT team or your ICT admin in your organizations, but kindly let them check if there is a change in their terms and conditions or agreement with Google. Because we in Ateneo are using Google, and we have been instructed already to get our files from the So check. No, it's nothing wrong with checking. If you still have unlimited, good thing for you. But if not, at least you'll be ready to dump your documents or your files in your own hard drives or your file repositories. Okay? So yun. Google Drive is virtually okay. But OneDrive, I usually use OneDrive. So a diverse collection of different cloud services would help you a lot, because there are free space, no, that they allocate. But if you have the money, then you can buy storage. That's it. For example, me, I buy extra 500 gigabyte for 50 pesos every month for iCloud, for example. At least just saves me the convenience of putting my files in a thumb drive or a hard drive or SSD. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. No, it's okay. I'll answer along na para mas engaging ang ating discussion. So how reliable and are also and the security measures of And are the security measures of cloud safe? We will be discussing that later. But siguro this is a good point to bring this up, no? This is a good point to bring this up now, no? You know about the Union Bank BDO problem, right? Sino dito ang may BDO account? Raise your hand. Sino dito ang mga na-biktima ni Mark Nagoyo? So, sino dito ang na-biktima? So yan. Okay. So, cloud as a service has been tested in a sense. But for those who are hackers, for those who are hackers, no, for those, yeah, you may na, okay lang na di kayo mag hands up, no, kung hacker kayo or hindi. But if you're a security professional, you would know that no system is safe. No system is perfect, no? No amount of security measures can be applied to really perfectly secure your system. Cloud-based services has been tested all throughout, and there are a lot of security engineers and security experts that are working in under AWS or Google Cloud, no? But there were times that cloud services were not secured. If you watch Hunger Games, no? Sino dito ang nakakilala kang Katniss Everdeen? Si J-Lo, si Jennifer Lawrence. So, you might be familiar with Jennifer Lawrence. J-Lo. No? So, there was what they called as the hack. Well, it's a bad term, no? But let's just good thing, sir. You've indicated a much better term. I would have indicated the bad one, no? There was an iCloud leak around 2010 and around 2010s, no? I forgot the specific year, where a lot of pictures saved in iCloud by Hollywood stars were leaked online. And among those who were affected, no, sending out the nude photos, no, of those Hollywood celebrities, was Jennifer Lawrence, no, the one who starred in Hunger Games. So her nude photos were leaked online, no, and other Hollywood stars photos were leaked online as well. So it became an issue with cloud computing. That's why around 2015, cloud computing has been on the security radar of people, because by that time, no, there are a lot of changes that is happening to cloud services, no, and that's why there's a need to. That's why there's a change in terms of infrastructure. The analogy that has been perfect for this is this, no, is, di ba, when there's a terrorist attack, no, and hopefully, no, please tell me if it's medyo if there's a terrorist attack, for example, in a particular place, that place's security gets tightened, right? And hence you won't experience, in one way or another, you won't experience a big terrorist attack in that place because the security has been tightened. There's a lot of military personnel in there. There's a lot of police. There's much bigger intelligence being intelligence is heavier in that place, no, and hence it would be relatively be safer in that location, no, after that attack. It's similar with security. I like this. I saw this Facebook account, this Facebook post by someone quite popular because its account is verified, that it would be BDO Union Bank would be the safest bank to invest your accounts already now, because they're tightening their security. It might not be the case. It might not be true, no, but it might be, no, because Union Bank BDO is really putting up a lot of security measures just to secure the system, and that's very just a little tidbit fact, no, and our friends from the DICT knows this, that our banking institutions are critical infrastructure, information infrastructures, or what we call as CIIs. And hence, hacking these CIIs would entail, would entail a lot of I would entail a big penalty, no? So it's very, very critical, no? So we're tightening banks, no? So that so I guess that's usually how we see or how we look at our bank infrastructure at the current time. Okay, so now when we talk about cloud services as secured, as I said, no system is secured, but I think no most of those cloud services try to make their system secured, no. Try to make their systems secured so that your data would be safe. It would be difficult to. By the way, I want you to at least redefine you at least what they call this change your perception in terms of security. Hacking is very difficult, to be honest. No, hacking is very difficult. It takes some time to execute, and it takes some level of complexity to execute. No, particularly on the human perspective or human area side. So well, I guess naman medyo secure naman yung cloud natin. Ay, sorry. Yeah, we'll talk about those later on. Sorry. Thank you for telling me that. No, very appreciated. I'll try to make it slow as much as possible. Okay. Sorry for that. Okay. So we go back to the essential characteristics of cloud computing. Hopefully that answers the question. No, we have rapid elasticity. No, computing resources can be one characteristic is rapid elasticity. So computing resources can be rapidly provisioned, increased or decreased to meet changing user demand. So this is a very unique way of doing cloud services at the current time. No, cloud services, when you avail of cloud services, if you deploy, no, not just use but deploy cloud services, you can actually use a calculator to compute based on how many data needed or how many data would be flowing throughout the services, so on and so forth. So you can actually increase the resources for internet services. If you would be attending tomorrow, you would see a simple implementation of cloud service for artificial intelligence and machine learning as well. No? And then next, so we have measured service. So measured service changes for cloud resources are based on amount of resources actually used. So it means that what you need is what you would get. No, when you need, for example, 1 terabyte of storage, you would get 1 terabyte of storage. If you want to expand that 1 terabyte storage, you can actually apply for it, or for certain cases, in most cases at the same for most cases, I would say is that it's already automatic, no, that it's extended as long as you configure it to be extended. Okay, so ganun siya. Okay, so there you go. So sorry. Okay, so let's go back to the definition of cloud computing. You saw, no, or you've read, no, what are the individual characteristics. So now let's talk about other definitions. No, so cloud computing is a global trend. So you would say, see, it's a global trend. It's used by a lot of organizations all throughout the world, and it allows people to store personal files or back up our data on servers over the internet. Why is it very valuable, no? Bakit very useful ang cloud services? Bakit useful ang cloud services when it comes to our own individual needs? It's because we need more storage. It's very expensive to buy a 1 terabyte hard drive, no? For others, thank you for pointing that out, Ma'am Marita and Sir Jude, no? We use it for data and analytics, or data science, or machine learning. We don't have big machines like supercomputers, no, or high performance computers or HPCs to process our data analytics. So if you're from the CS, if you're a PhD, if you are a CS graduate or you are from the ICT field, you would know that high performance computers, or our big computers like our servers, are quite expensive. And cloud computing gives us the opportunity to utilize those resources based on our need. We have a lot of organizations now na hindi na siya kailangan na mag-deploy ka, no? But mag-deploy ng big machines, like you put in servers sa laboratories ninyo, or mag-put in ng mga high performance computers just for analysis, because you can just avail of cloud computing services by Google. No, I usually use Google for data analytics, no? It's easy access, no? That's very good. Tama si Ma'am Mayan, no? It's easy. Sorry, si Sir or Ma'am Jerry, sorry. Hopefully I'm correct, no? Si Sir Jeremiah, no? It's easy access and and it's user friendly, no? Madaling gamitin. What are the disadvantages? Let's just talk about the disadvantage, since Sir Ramon has already brought that up as well. What are the disadvantages of the cloud? As I've said before, as I said a while ago, you cannot really assure security in cloud services. Once it's down, it's down. But that's the same case with our own infrastructure. Actually, mas mahirap pa siya. So the analogy of this is like when you have an apartment. For example, meron kang apartment, no? You have an apartment, but you don't actually hire a guard guarding your own apartment unit, right? You hire a guard for the entire. The guard is hired for the entire building, no? That's the case for cloud services. The guard or security is applied in a much more bigger level, and hence, since security is much more standardized, it's much more easier. It's much more harder rather for hackers to penetrate as compared when utilizing your own, no? So yun, that's the usual analogy that I use when we talk about cloud computing. If you're the one who will be hiring a security personnel to guard your own apartment unit, you would have less resources to keep that security personnel going for 24 hours. You might have just limited 8 hours, but crime does not end at 8 hours. No, it didn't at 8 hours. So you would need to hire more resources, and that would be taxing to you. So that's as compared to the entire building is being managed, is being managed by someone, and security personnel are being hired by that administrator. So it actually makes your life easier, and you don't think about the security personnel, but you know that your security is quite managed well. Another disadvantage with the cloud is that you have less management of the service. If you want to make the most out of the technology, it would be difficult for you because what you availed is what you would get. So availing for other services would entail you much bigger costs. But that in the long run, it would actually be much better than putting in your own high performance computer, as long as that HPC or that server or that computer, big computer, mainframe computers, for others, is not utilized well. So it would be better na cloud na lang. So it depends actually, sir, kung ano yung level of organizational need. So the advantages in certain levels of organization or certain capacities of organization might be disadvantages for other types or levels of organization, and the disadvantage of a much more smaller might be an advantage of a much more bigger. That's why when you do cloud services, assessment of needs and assessments of performance needed by the organization is very, very important. Okay, so disadvantage and advantages in cloud and cloud services depends on your utilization, the organization's utilization, and the needs of that organization. So I hope that answers the question. Okay? So let's move on. So Ma'am Marit has indicated pass, no, or pass. And we will be talking about that in a while. So applications such as word processing and photo editing can also be accessed using the cloud. So have you experienced using Google Docs? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs up if ever na you've used Google Docs before. Yan, very good, no? Marami. Actually, I think you have used Google Docs to collaborate with other people, no? You have some instances na nag-type ka, and then there's another person who is part of those with the sharing options, no? Part of the document who can edit the document is also editing the document at the same time. And that is being enabled by very good cloud services. Well, in this case, Google's cloud service. So your data is being used, no? And when we talk about kanina, no, it does not depend, no, on location, and it's ubiquitous, no? You can use your devices, your other devices, and it's not dependent to other users. So you can collaborate much easier. So yeah, tama si Sir Jeremiah, no, Google is extremely working, no? They work so hard to set their data privacy. But sometimes Google are the ones who are violating those data privacy, no? So may issues din sila in terms of data privacy. So yun. So let's talk about let's move, no? There we go. So cloud computing also allows businesses, no? Also allows businesses to extend their capabilities on demand and deliver automatically to any devices anywhere in the world. And that's the ubiquitous nature of cloud computing. You can use your cell phone and access cloud computing services. For example, one of the very good ecosystem, no, we call it as ICT ecosystem. With some of you might know about ICT ecosystem, no. One of the best, I would say best, no bias because I'm an Apple user. One of the best laid out ecosystem, no, or infrastructure ecosystem or platform ecosystem or device ecosystem out there is Apple's ecosystem. You have a very nice cloud service using iCloud, which can be extended to other devices like your MacBooks, your iMac, your iPhone, your iPad, for example, even your Apple Watch or your Apple TV, no? So medyo kahit anong device from Apple TV devices to cellular phones to tablets to computers, even smartwatches, they have utilized the cloud to further extend their services. So that's the advantage of using cloud computing. So cloud computing is made possible by data centers. So you might know about this. You might have seen data centers in television shows or in movies, for example, no, kanang ginahack na mag-hacker na musulod dito, no. Kung nakita mo Batman versus Superman, there is a data center in Lex Luthor's house or company or building. So there's si Ben Affleck, no, who's playing Batman, went to that data center to hack the computer to get some information, no. So, and you would see a lot, no, you would see a lot of this in movies, no. Smaller companies that can afford their own data centers lease server and storage services from larger center organizations in the cloud. It's very expensive to set up your own ICT infra. Not all organizations are privileged, no, enough to have their own ICT infra. It would be best to have your own ICT infra so that you can control it without paying, no, once you have changes. But the disadvantage to that is that you need to look at it in the long run or the long term. For example, here in Ateneo, we have our own ICT infrastructure because at the long term, it is much more economical to use our own servers than to avail cloud services, or just avail cloud services for much basic services or systems such as our own mobile application here in Ateneo de Davao. So we try to assess, no, kung ano yung needs. What are the needs of the organization? Do we need to buy a server, or will we just avail a server from a cloud organization or a cloud service or a cloud business? No? So we usually do that assessment. Sir, paano ba mag-assess ng needs namin when it comes to ICT? Okay, this is quite tricky, no? Because you would need to manage your resources, human resources that's included, financial resources, capability of people to integrate to ICT. So there are a lot of factors going in the decision to go to the cloud or to buy your own individual server. You might have, if you are an official siguro administrator of DepEd, you might have heard about, I forgot the term, but there was a private network that has been introduced, Public Education Network or PEN. No, there was a plan before. It was introduced by President Duterte in his SONA 2020 on the utilization of the public education network, and that actually puts in repositories of data in district offices, in provincial offices, and regional offices that will connect to the different schools for network connection and resources. No, so katong public educational network it's an own internet service in the DepEd. I'm not so sure as to how its implementation, it has been implemented already. For government services, good thing, sir. Thank you for pointing that out. We also have our GovPH infrastructure. So our sites, no, in the Philippines are hosted as a .gov.ph, and hopefully for those who are from the DICT, you can correct me if I'm wrong. No, you are utilizing a, if not a single, an array of servers that are accessed by different government agencies. The DICT would not confirm that because that would become a security compromise if you could confirm that, no? Pero well, I guess it's it utilizes a single, at the same subset of technologies for interoperability, no? Di lang siguro sila mong ingon ka asa gina-host, unsa specific na hosting service, no, dili siguro. But in one way or another, to engage in interoperability between services ng governments, government institutes and organization, it's actually utilizing a similar or an array of similar technologies. So yun. So good. Salamat, Sir Jeremiah. Okay. So yun. So sir, for example lang, we are a school of we're a school that has around an average of 2,000 students per school year with around 30 teachers or 50 faculty and staff. Do we need to buy a server, or do we need to put in our own ICT infrastructure to host Moodle, for example, or to host our own learning management system? That depends, no? That depends. Because the priority of the organization might pivot on the long run. 2,000 now might become 10,000 5 years from now. And if that's the target of the organization, and there is a need to really manage your own learning management system with ease, no? That can be a good investment if ever there's a need. But if there is no need for it, cloud-based services might suffice. Again, it depends on the priority and needs of the organization at the current time and their outlook in terms of the long-term plan. Okay? Are we good pa? Okay. Siguro later at around mga 2:45 or 3 o'clock, we'll have a short 5-minute break siguro later on so that you won't get information overload. Okay? So it's good. Actually, I'm actually more or less down to a third of my presentation. Now, let's discuss about the different types of clouds. Okay? Let's discuss about the different types of clouds. So you have a public cloud. So you have a public cloud, a private cloud, and a hybrid cloud, and also custom clouds. Okay? So, sorry. Okay. So public clouds are services and applications that are made available to general public through a pay-per-use model or for free. So these are cloud services that are available for everyone, like our Google Drive services, for example, or Google services, no? Google for Education services, and can start as free, but later on, as the need arises, you can extend it further. We also have what we call as private clouds. So these are applications and services that are intended for a specific organization or entity, such as the government. I'm not so sure if ARPANET is still active. It's been a while since I heard that term. No, even after the term ARPANET, for those who are under DOST or under DOST ASTI here, if there's someone or anyone from the DICT, is ARPANET still active ba? Or some cloud-based service in the DICT? Maybe the DICT has been providing private cloud services for government institutions or services. That might be possible, no? So it might be possible because there are data that are much more sensitive, that needs much more security, no? That it should not be accessed by the public or by external. Ito, vaccination. No, I'm not so sure. I do not know if where it is hosted, but our vaccination data might be hosted in some secure repository. We pray that it is in a very secure repository. We hope that it's in a very secure repository because that is sensitive personal information, or SPI. No. Can our friends from the DICT confirm that it's that it's secured? No, I hope it's secured. No, I think it's secured because we have not encountered any security issues. No, in terms of what they call this, in terms of internet services. No, sorry, in terms of internet services, in terms of our vaccination data. Si Sir Jemwell said, yep. But we hope not, no, because we have a lot of sensitive data for vaccination. We in our vaccination forms, you might have encountered, no, that HIV/AIDS data is recorded if you have history, no, for other medical immunocompromised people, like having HIV/AIDS, for example, or for those who have some other conditions like high blood or heart attacks, for example, even though it's not sensitive for others because that's common, but for others, they want to take it, at least secure their data, no? If it's an LGU initiated vaccination system, we hope it's secured, no? Correct, tama si Sir Jeremiah. We have the vaccert.gov.ph, doh.gov.ph. Our data is being encoded there, no? Sorry, has been hosted there. So I guess I hope that it's very secure. But I guess those type of data are being hosted in a private cloud, no? Sir, medyo public man yung data in terms of the vaccert because we can access our own data. Take note that you can only access your own data, but you cannot access other people's data. And that means that it is hosted in somewhere very secure, hopefully secure. And it's hosted somewhere that the data subject can only access it himself or herself. you as data subjects has the right to access it. That's why you can get your vaccination certificate from the government. Okay. So we also have what we call as hybrid clouds. So hybrid clouds are made out of 2 or more cloud types. For example, part custom and part public. For example, some part of the services are good, some are public, some are private. No, each part remains a distinctive object and but are both connected using the same architecture, but is being invoked or processed or data is being extracted from only specific parts of those of the hybrid cloud. So you cannot access other parts of the cloud, but you can access some data that is sheltered in the cloud. No, so that's actually possible. Um, yun. And then Vaxer, Sir Christopher said na it's hosted in AWS. I'm not so sure. Good thing I think you have checked it. No, it's hosted in AWS. Not sure if the ICT owns that AWS account or profile. If not, maybe DOH. But I think procurements in terms of technology is under the ICT man. So I guess no, I'm not so sure, but I hope na it's well, AWS is secured, but take note that the cloud might be secured, but your own systems or software should also be secure. It is not an assurance. It is not an assurance that your data is secure in the cloud if your system passing the data to the cloud is not secure. That's why network security is important. No, and this I suggest to our friends from the DICT to also push for information security webinars very soon. No, so because it actually benefits our people, no, in terms of utilizing IoT cloud services and AI event. No, so there's a need to secure because cloud services under AWS might be secured, but the system might not be. I'm not saying about the Vaxcert in general systems. No, the Vaxcert might be secured because again, there are no instances of it being leaked, and we thank God that it's very secure, that it's secured in a sense. No, so that's a good thing. And also what we call as custom clouds, specific to organizational needs. So it depends if it's public, private, or a certain hybrid, a certain implementation of the cloud that is necessary for operations of an organization. Okay, so yun. So okay, so a cloud can either be private or public. A public cloud is owned and maintained by a cloud service provider, such as in the case of AWS, AWS or Amazon, and made available to the general public or industry group or specific industry group. A private cloud is operated solely for an organization. It may be managed by the organization or a third party and may exist on-premise or off-premise. For example, here in Ateneo, we have our own storage capacity, for employees, for much more for data, as a data repository. And hence and we access it using internet, and hence it's a private cloud service available only for us. In the government, as I indicated earlier, there might be some cloud-based service that is being deployed by the government, by the DICT or any subset or any organization that is being utilized. Like DOST, for example, there might be a repository for data sets, sensitive data sets that should be uploaded only to public organizations because of some data privacy concerns. So like public clouds, private clouds are able to allocate storage, computing power, or other resources seamlessly to provide computing resources on a needs basis. Please take note of this. Cloud services has been popular because of storage services. But actually, tama yung sinabi before nila Ma'am Marita, for example, na you can do data analysis or data processing there. You can create your own codes for machine learning or AI and use the necessary services, nor the necessary necessary extensions or tools that is available in Colab.google, for example, or Google.colab, for example, or in AWS or Azure, no? So you would know about the different services that are available in those cloud services if you would ask someone coming from the organization. Based on certain conversations with these vendors, no, or representatives of these vendors, they're quite honest naman what services are appropriate to your needs, because at the end of the day, once you enjoy their services, you would actually extend, and once your services becomes better, they would just extend your utilization, no? So that becomes a win-win situation for both the organization and the vendor. So yun. Maybe some would disagree because naloko before ng vendor, no, but based on experience, no, coming from our end, it has been very good naman, or no, in a sense. So since organization using public clouds do not own the infrastructure, they do not have to make large investment on their hardware and software. Instead, they purchase their computing services from remote providers and pay only for the amount of computing power that they use, or what we call as utility computing, or build on a monthly or annual subscription basis. And it has been coined as, or the term as, on-demand computing. No? So this is what I said earlier. Na you can avail of the services as needed, no? They would just charge you if my excess, no? You would have at least get an estimation of the necessary data flowing in and out, no, in the system. So you would be able to calculate it later on if you're a developer, no? So, yeah. Oh, I've been talking for 1 hour and 25 minutes already. So, yun. It's almost 1 hour and 30. So, we'll be talking about so we're not yet done in terms of the definition, but we're almost there. No. Okay, let's talk about hybrid clouds. So, large firms are most likely to adopt a hybrid cloud computing model where they use their own infrastructure for their most essential core activities and adopt a public cloud computing for less critical systems, such as your storage system for non-critical data or information. Now, please take note of this. Hybrid clouds are much, in a sense, are being utilized by a lot of organizations. Even in government, no, as you said, DepEd is utilizing Google for education, but there are data flowing in and out, no, of a particular DepEd system. I remember, and our participants from DepEd might be able to attest to this, no? What they call this? Sorry. System. You might use a particular system to upload your what they call this, lesson plans or class records, no? And it uses a secure system. No, it uses a secure system to upload those documents, no? And it's stored in a secured repository as well. But you have your own Google for Education data drives, so it's to store your own your presentation slides, no, so on and so forth. And you're using a hybrid system to work on the different data or files that is needed by DepEd, no, or by your school or universities. So hybrid model is a common, no, model that is being used in terms of cloud implementation. Even us here in Ateneo, we use it. No? Yeah. So I also am checking, no, some comments in Facebook as well, no. So there's a very good point from Sir AJ here in terms of the sophistication of the Google security data, no, and how they secure their system. Evaluation is outstanding, no. And then usually tama, it's a very good point as indicated earlier, no, that usually security is compromised, no, at the third party level. No, very good point, sir. No, at your own individual systems that you have implemented, because the security for those cloud services are quite good already. Again, there are no safe system. Google can be hacked, no? Google might be compromised later on. Who knows? But they have years of experience in securing their system, and hence hacking their system, it's much relatively harder than hacking your own third-party software. So that's why it's quite a favorite platform for us to use Firebase, for example, at in the groups that in the platform that I use, no. So it's quite secure kasi in a sense kasi Google siya. So yun. So passenger and offer naman kasi the IS. Yes, let's talk about this. People have been pointing this out kanina pa, no? So we will be talking about the different cloud services or infrastructure. And this has been the focus of different cloud services implementation before, no? If you have attended a cloud service or a cloud computing workshop or webinar or talk before, this people would start on this tree, no? People or speakers would start talking about this tree. I change it in a certain way because I want you to at least appreciate first the definition of cloud services before jumping to this, because this is quite complicated in a sense. So we have 3 cloud services, actually already have 4 or 4.5, I would say 4.5 because of what we call as FAS, no? Or features or functionalities as a service, no? Later we will be talking about that, but that's usually in the that's part of the serverless computing. Okay, but these are the common ones. These are the common ones that we usually talk about when we discuss cloud services. So you have cloud infrastructure as a service, or IaaS or IaaS. So customer use processing, storage, networking, and other computing resources from cloud service providers to run their information systems. Users pay only for the amount of computing and storage capacity that they actually need to use. So this is what I was telling you a while ago, that services are being paid by users based on the amount of computing and storage capacity that is needed by your service. And later on, I would demonstrate to you a certain type of calculator that you can use, no? But the concepts on cloud services payments are also complicated in a way. You need to consider a lot of things, and it would be best to talk to a vendor representative when you do this when you think about putting in cloud-based services. So next, we also have cloud platform as a service, or PaaS. No, customers use infrastructure and programming tools supported by the cloud service provider to develop their own application. And you would for those who are developers, you might have encountered this, no? Like in the case of Firebase, no, and other development platforms that are already hosted in the cloud. So you can use infrastructure and programming tools to develop your own software platform or applications. If you have tried even basic web services like Skillshare, di akong always minumduman ay saan starting with a letter S na platform web platform, sorry, like GoDaddy na lang, di ako always minumduman GoDaddy. No, you can implement your websites online. You put in your websites, you can use you can put in what the necessary information and then build your website on that particular platform. So you can do that. No, you can do that. For those who are doing much more sophisticated programs, you can implement your development platforms or application in that particular software development platform, or use those services such as database servers, or file transfer, using file transfers or file repositories to implement your platform. So, sorry, meron question from Ma'am Marita now before I move on to the SaaS. What if the contract of the service has expired? Can an organization have the right to get the private information stored on the platform? That is a very good question, Ma'am Marita. No, this has been this is a question particularly focused on data privacy. Because as data owners, as owners of the data, no, as data subjects and owners of the data, we actually have the right to get our information coming from a service. But you have a certain agreement or certain you have a certain agreement in terms of the data being stored in a particular platform. We are afforded by our right for erasure and blocking, no, under the data privacy law. In terms of the nitty-gritty, or the particular details as to the particular details as to what you would need to do to get your data coming from a particular cloud service, or a cloud computing organization or business, that might boil down in the fine print, no, with the organization, no, that you have availed the service. But I guess since it's part of our law, you would be able to get the data necessary, the data that you have encoded or processed in a particular programming, in a particular cloud service platform. Our someone from the DICT, or if there's someone from the National Privacy Commission, can also type in the chat, or maybe talk later on, if you have anything to add to that particular question, or if there are some mistakes in terms of my statement, no. So yun. So yeah, good thing Sir Justin has pointed it out, no. You can do you can do collaborative work for machine learning and coding using Google Colab. I've been using that for the entire November, no. I've been coding in Google Colab because I need to submit something, and it has become a very good tool for me in terms of coding, no. And it uses the resources of Google to code, no, or to run the code. And for those who would be joining tomorrow, we will have a taste of Google Colab in our AI machine learning talk tomorrow. Okay, so yeah. So moving on to our cloud software as a service. So customers use software hosted by the vendor on the vendor's cloud infrastructure and delivered on a network. Users access this application by a web browser, and the data and software are maintained on the provider's remote servers. And I will talk about SaaS later on more. So let's jump muna papunta sa IaaS because it's already 3 o'clock. Okay, so IaaS, or infrastructure as a service, no, provides an on-demand access to fundamental computing resources, physical and virtual servers, networking, and storage over the internet, and as a pay-as-you-go basis. IaaS enables IaaS, for those who are kasi na yung mga pure gusto na dyan na spell out no, IaaS enables end users to scale and shrink resources on an as-needed basis, reducing the need for high upfront capital expenditures or an unnecessary on-premise or own infrastructure, and for overbuying resources to accommodate periodic spike in usage. This is medyo bugat siya paminawon, pero this is simple because I've been talking about cloud services as in the IaaS perspective, or in the AIaaS perspective. When we use cloud services or deploy cloud services, if you're a developer, you use, for example, cloud services, no, through Firebase. Kumakain siya ng certain resources ng Google, obviously, because nag-avail ka ng services ng Google. So they would, if you go beyond the free or the basic space, no, or the basic allocation, if not just space, allocation provided by Google, you would need to pay the excess. Actually, before, when we implemented the vaccination system here for Ateneo, we just paid around 15 pesos per day, no? 10 pesos to 15 pesos, even though there's a large read and write. And actually, it's economical because our vaccination site was not operating every day. No, we just operate like 3 days and then wala. Then after that, after the 21 days, we operate again 3 days after 3 days. And hence, we did not put in an infrastructure. No, we did not put in a server. We did not buy a server. We did not use a server and set up a server. We just use the particular service platform, no, provided by Google to cater to our needs for our vaccination site, no, for our queuing and processing mobile application. And that gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of implementation because first, we don't need it always. So we just use it when it is needed. And hence it becomes much more economical. Second, we don't need to deploy necessary servers or reconfigure servers just for that particular purpose. Our friends from the ICT field I can attest to this, that deploying a particular server, no, for the use of our development applications or platforms or our applications or software would take some time and would be taxing in a certain way in some cases. And hence, it might be much more practical to implement it using a cloud-based service available online if we are assured that our data or our system is secured. That's second. No? So we don't overbuy resources because we can just accommodate for the necessary data usage at the current time. And hence, we don't overbuy resources. We don't underutilize resources as well. So yun. Yun. So we also, in contrast to SaaS and PaaS, and even newer PaaS computing models such as containers and serverless implementations, IaaS provides the users with the lowest level control of computing resources in the cloud. IaaS was the most popular cloud computing model when it emerged in the 2010s, no? But it remains the cloud model for many types of workloads. And as I've indicated, when we were talking about cloud implementation, we have actually by default, we are talking about IaaS, no? Use of SaaS and PaaS is growing up at a much faster rate. Because nowadays, developers are quite wiser already that they would implement their systems online because it's much more practical in a sense. Okay? So, ganun siya. Wait, sandali lang. Sorry, there's a phone, Okay, so yan, going back. Later on, makita ninyo ang comparison. Sorry, forgot. Okay, so these are some use cases for IaaS, no? So companies use IaaS, no, for a variety of projects, and here are a few examples. So we have development infrastructure for cost-effective computer infrastructure and providing capacity on demand, no? So this has been indicated by Microsoft, no? Later on, by the way, no, nakalimutan ko kanina. So most of the resources comes from Microsoft and AWS implementations, no, their pages, and also this very good book on cloud platform, cloud service playbook. They call it as cloud service playbook. So you would see the references later on if you want to look it out or you want to check it out. So a manufacturer needs a development infrastructure for its enterprise resource planning application. For example, a manufacturer. So the manufacturing really needs usually your ERP application. So it decides to use a public IaaS service to provision development and test environment for the system in on-demand fashion. So the public the public IaaS gives it the operational flexibility it needs to provision and the provision infrastructure instead of constantly asking for IT for server capacity. No, because sometimes then very taxing, no, to reallocate and allocate from your own individual servers, no, or individual resources from your organization. So using a IaaS platform for testing the system would be much more practical kasi kung testing on a limited capacity pa, you would assure that the in and outs of data and processes, the processes that will be utilized in the system is just limited, and hence it would not consume a lot of cost, no? So yan siya. We also have cost-effective computer infrastructure. So cost-effective, so in this case, for example, as a company needs to run a cost-effective compute infrastructure to run quarterly and yearly task reports. So since, as I've said, no, IaaS, one of the advantages is that you can just utilize it once it's necessary because it's on demand. You actually cut some costs, no, because you don't run the entire infrastructure always, and hence you don't need to invest on specific infrastructure, technology, or physical infrastructure for just short amounts of time or short amounts of processes, no? Or processes that takes the processes that takes a short amount of time. We also we also see, no, IaaS being used, no, providing capacity on demand. As I said, no, even storage is part of this, no. So a company decides to deploy a private cloud IaaS to provide capacity on demand for its portfolio of retail application, in this case, that it offers as a service to a set of small retailers. So as long as the retailers is still part of the organization or still availing the service of that particular retailer, they would be able to have that particular storage capacity or that storage. And once the retailer is out already of the organization, you can just close it out and just secure the data if necessary or needed. Okay, so we're gonna chat. So that's IaaS. So let's go to much more newer and much more complicated types of cloud services. So let's have PaaS, or platform as a service. So PaaS or PaaS provides software developers with an on-demand platform, hardware complete software stack, infrastructure, and even development tools for running, developing, and managing applications without the cost, complexity, and inflexibility of maintaining the platform on premises. As I said earlier, and as pointed out by our audience earlier, that some processes need some resources, heavy resources. So, for example, you would analyze comments or feedback from students, no, using natural language processing methods, no, NLP methods. You would look at sentiment analysis, and then your computer is not enough, no, to process it. You can avail of a PaaS service, no, or a PaaS, no, as service na siya. So a PaaS service, okay, let's just call it PaaS service, no. So to process that necessary NLP processing, no, and to use it as a way to do data analysis or data learning, machine learning, for example. Putting in your high performance computer would be costly. It's very costly. It might be good if your organization is its main purpose, no, is researching in terms of data, like you have really heavy data processing that you would use that HPC or your high performance computers all throughout the year, all throughout the next 5 years, so that it would compensate with the cost. That's okay. But if you would just process, for example, you're a PhD or a master student, you're taking masters of science in computer science or PhD in computer science, no, or data science, you won't need a high performance computer. You can't afford, obviously, a high performance computer, no. So you just avail of the PaaS service, no, to do it, no, to process your code or your dev platforms, no, or application. Yes, it would be nice to have a multiple core computer with different with multiple graphic card implementation, no, you have a rig, no, but at the longer run, if you would look at the practicality of it, if you would not be using it for the long term, why would you invest on that particular infrastructure? So there are ways to really implement things that are cloud-based or using cloud services so that it will become practical at the current level of utilization by your organization. So with PaaS, the cloud provider hosts everything: servers, network, storage, operating system, even as virtual OS or virtual systems, middleware, database at their data center. So you can utilize those particular resources from that particular PaaS service or PaaS vendor, so that you can use it for your own individual purpose. Sir, is it safe, sir, in terms of copyright issues, in terms of securing our code? Sir, we're a startup, and then we want na walang makakagaya sa system namin because it's a novel system. Again, the risks are there. Look at the fine print of the system. Look if it's a private system or a private service or a public cloud or a private cloud. Look at the fine print. Look at the terms and conditions, the agreement, in terms of end user agreements, so on and so forth. Look at it. Look at the fine print, because you cannot blame the organization if it gets out and you signed on it or you signed off on it and it becomes published. Because, for example, repositories like GitHub, for example, or GitHub, GitHub. It can be configured as public or private, So it's really up to your configuration if it's private or public. So it's really entirely up to you to publish it or not. Similar to those who are publishing research projects, research publications, or putting up proposals, you are the ones who will be responsible for it to become private or public. And hence, you would need to look at the policies and the fine print in terms of availing that particular service. If you are not confident with the service or platform, don't use it. Or utilize your own if you have the necessary resources. It becomes a self decision if you want it or not. Okay? So developers is simply pick from a menu to spin up servers and environments they need to run, build, test, deploy, maintain, update, and even scale applications on the long run. So today, PaaS is often built around containers. So we have what we call as containers, a virtual computing model or compute model, one step removed from virtual servers, because before we have virtual servers. So containers virtualize the operating system. So it mimics operating systems, enabling developers. Sorry if there's a better term, there's a better term than mimic. Mimic might not be the correct term even. So enabling developers to package the application with only the operating system services it needs to run on any platform without modification and without the need for middleware, which is usually it happens in the case when you deploy it on site. So for on-site, for example, there is a necessary requirement from the organization that you use Debian, for example, or you use a particular Unix operating system to host your system. So you need to adjust the specification based on your organizational's recommendation or suggestion. But in certain cases for PaaS, it has become very flexible for it to work using the necessary tools and for it to work with the needed necessary tools or operating systems needed to run the application. Okay, so some use case for PaaS, Some use case for PaaS. So we have API development and management, and for those who are doing development, you would know about this. Indicated earlier, so we have a discussion earlier on Internet of Things or IoT, and then we also have agile development and DevOps. So let's start first with So by providing an integrated and ready-to-use platform and by enabling organizations to offload infrastructure management to the cloud provider and focus on building, deploying, and managing applications, PaaS can ease or advance a number of ICT initiatives, including the following. So first, we have API development and management. Because of its built-in frameworks, PaaS makes it much more simpler for teams to develop, run, manage, and secure APIs. And APIs are very important when you do development, right? Because it becomes in a sense, a bread and butter in terms of software development flexibility. If you want to implement a particular system and you need some certain classes or certain functions needed coming from another system, you just invoke that API. So which are used for sharing data and functionality between applications. Okay. Next, we also use it on IoT. So out of the box, PaaS can support a range of programming languages. So Java, Python, Python is very popular, no, as popularly used in PAAS. Swift, no, for those who are doing iOS development, no. Program languaging tools and application environments used for IoT application development and real-time processing of data generated by IoT devices. It's very important because cloud services helps in pushing necessary updates in those IoT devices that might be located in a secure and private location. So you don't want to risk the getting of the system, updating it physically and putting it back, no. So PAA systems can cloud systems in general, or cloud services in general, can push for the updates and just process it using your RFIs or your Arduino boards based on your implementation. And then we also have agile development and DevOps. So this is quite common for those who are developers. So PAAs can provide fully configured environments for automating the software application lifecycle, including integration, delivery, security, testing, and deployments of systems. Okay, so yun. State na siguro tanong para mahumanda yun, no, para makapahuway siguro mga tao instead of ano. So if you are okay there, you just do some working snacks, no, just get your coffee and eat your biscuits, no. At least we would be able to finish it earlier. We're down to our size is 30, so our last 40 slides, no. Sir, nagana pa sa 40. Well, naka-separate man siya, so we'll just look at the time, no. So no. We also have other use cases for PAAS. So we have cloud migration and cloud native development, and also hybrid cloud strategy. So in terms of cloud migration and cloud native development, when it's ready to use tools and integration capabilities, with it's ready to use tools and integration capabilities, PAAS can simply migrate existing applications to the cloud, no? Particularly via replatforming, which is moving of applications to the cloud. With modification that can better take advantage of cloud scalability, load balancing, other capabilities, which also can be utilized very well in terms of our IoT implementation, as I indicated earlier, or refactoring, or architecturing some or all of the application using microservices, containers, and other cloud native technologies. And lastly, for hybrid cloud strategies, so hybrid cloud integrates public cloud services, private cloud services, and on-premise infrastructure services, and provides orchestration, management, and application portability across all three. Okay, so yun siya. So let's move to SaaS, no? So this is SaaS, or software as a service. So software that's hosted in the cloud and that you can access and use via a web browser, a dedicated desktop client, or an API that integrates with your desktop or mobile operating system. So that's SaaS. In most cases, SaaS users pay a monthly or annual subscription fee. Some may offer a pay-as-you-go pricing based on your actual usage. So it's hosted in the cloud, and you can access it using various applications that are native to your computer, such as your web browsers, a dedicated desktop client, or an API. And this has been a common service that you might be familiar with is AnyDesk. Sino dito ang nakagamit na ng AnyDesk? Anyone? Thumbs up if you have used AnyDesk before, or any similar platforms. So yun. Actually, you can run, di ba, AnyDesk as in your browsers or TeamViewer. Yeah, TeamViewer, for example. You can run it anywhere, no? So sandali lang ha. Let me verify kasi pataka ako. Yo. Ang mga Bisaya nakasabot sa kong giingon. Yeah. Or Yeah, tama. So you have some system, for example, yung sa TeamViewer, no, that you can that you use, no. So like TeamViewer Tensor, no. So ganun siya. Okay? So you have a lot well, thank you for there are a lot of other platforms, software platforms that is used as a SaaS service, no? So good thing, no? In addition to cost savings, time to value and scalability benefits of the cloud, SaaS offers the following: so automatic upgrades and protection from data loss because it gets backed up. Okay. So yan. SaaS is the primary delivery model for commercial software today. There are hundreds of thousands of SaaS solutions. Actually, this is true. From the most focused industry and development departmental application to powerful enterprise software database and AI software, such as in the case of like yung mga ERPs ninyo, or for example, your data analysis or data processing ng mga software systems. Like in the case of SAP, for example, it uses SaaS as a service, a type of cloud service, no, for implementation. So this is at least an overview of in terms of SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. So you have SaaS encapsulating all under PaaS, and PaaS encapsulating some in terms of IaaS. So SaaS, more than the development tools and operating system that is extended in PaaS, no, from the IaaS na servers, storage, networking, firewall, and security, and data center, physical plant or building. SaaS also looks at the also provides hosted application and apps as a service in the cloud. So ganun siya. And lastly, we also have what we call as serverless computing, or what we call as serverless in general. So it's a cloud computing model that offloads all the backend infrastructure management, task provisioning, scaling, scheduling, and patching. To be honest, I have not encountered serverless computing at least at its implementation level. No, I might have, but I might not have appreciated it, like really absorb it. No, but it handles, no, back-end infrastructure management to the cloud provider, freeing developers to focus all their time and effort on the code and business logic specific to their own individual application. So what's more important, what's more valuable in terms of serverless computing? So serverless runs application code on a per request basis only and scales the supporting infrastructure up and down automatically in response to the number of requests being made. So with serverless, customer pay only for the resources being used while the application is running, and they do not use it for idle capacity, meaning that it's being utilized as it's needed. I am not so sure in terms of iCloud being attacked in terms of a particular implementation. With this particular implementation, no, there's a question of iCloud being affected by a log4j Apache implementation, if not an attack. I'm not so sure. I haven't heard of it being I haven't heard of it so far. Okay. Okay, I guess. Yeah. Meron pala talaga. Okay, so yeah, there is a recent attack. Thank you for pointing that out, no? Okay. So it runs malicious codes on remote servers, but does not it's a Minecraft vulnerability before. But the good thing is that it has been explored. It has been pointed out by a researcher from a security So if it has been pointed out, then it might have been patched, or there might have been patch being made, no, for that system. Okay. Yeah. Which is the usual case, the patch is really updating for to the latest version, no, of the system that you're currently using. Okay. Good. That's thank you for that very good information. No, I haven't heard of it for the past days. So, but that's that's nice. I'll just put this done na kasi tapos na yung iba. Okay. So yeah. All right. Thank you for that. Thank you, Sir Christopher. And thank you, Sir Gemwell, for that update in terms of the patching. But I guess it's pointed out by a security group, then it has been patched already. So here are just in terms of, here's just a visualization, no, coming from Microsoft, no, in terms of who manages what in terms of cloud computing service. When we talk about traditional IT, obviously, without cloud computing, all of the necessary infrastructures are not just necessary, but all of the sorry, all of the functions or processes under the organization is being done or managed by the organization itself. So for IaaS, no, usually have the OS, virtualization, services, storage, and networking as being managed by the what they call this, by the provider or vendor. And usually obviously applications, data runtime, and middleware are managed by the organization. And that is why it has been pointed out earlier, no? It has been pointed out earlier, no? It was pointed out earlier by someone, no, in the Facebook chat, that certain times vulnerability comes from the third-party application or the application that you created availing of the cloud services, not the cloud service itself, no. So that usually comes into play, no, yung katong third party when you do IaaS, no. For PaaS, you have application and data still coming from managed by the organization. Serverless, you have your applications being managed by the organization. And SaaS, usually it's all the provider, no. Well, tama din, no, sorry, I might have a mistake kanina. But in terms of SaaS kasi, yeah, utilization, you have utilized the services of the vendor already, such as in some cases of ERP solutions, no, na you put in your data there, it has been stored there, the application is hosted using a browser or a specialized installed system, so on and so forth. So that's why you have less control already in terms of the management of this particular processes. But it depends, no, if you don't want much control and you feel confident with your vendor, then you can use SaaS naman, no. So yun. So let's move, no. So yeah. So these are popular cloud service, no. These are popular cloud service. Sandali lang, ha. Sorry. Okay, sige. Sorry. I was looking at the some of the comments. Okay. Yan. So, thank you for answering it, Sir Gemwell. There is a question pala. Hindi ko nabantay. The cloud, yeah. Actually, the cloud has been used as not just a symbol for cloud services, no, even before. The cloud has been used as a representation of anything that is sent out there. Because as they say, no, na anywhere you go, there are clouds. So so It has been used as a representation of even the internet, no, for cloud network representation. So yun siya. But it has been pointed out very well by Sir Jemuel. Okay, so yun. So the cloud, going back to the popular cloud services, no, going back to popular cloud services, we have the following 3 cloud services that are popular. There are a lot. We have around 10 na I know, but let's just focus with the 3. So you have your AWS or Amazon Web Services, which is very popular. I think the most popular. You have Microsoft Azure, no? And then you have Google Cloud. So Google Cloud is something that I usually use, no, other than Amazon Web Service. So the key offerings of AWS is computer, storage, database, analytics, networking, ML, machine learning, ML, AI, mobile, developers tools, IoT, security, enterprise applications, and blockchain. Azure are the following, and then Google Cloud are the following. Okay, so let's just dive in one by one itong individual implementation. So let's start first with Amazon Web Service. It has been launched in 2006. Amazon Web Service is an Amazon company that was launched in 2002, but has operated most of its systems in terms of AWS systems as available to the public in 2006. AWS is the most popular cloud service provider in the world with a lot of systems using AWS. Amazon Web Services is the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform, offering 165 fully featured services from their different data centers globally. And their service obviously is used by millions of users. You would see here, I would be pointing out the different service centers, nor the cloud service centers in by the AWS. If I remember correctly, this is 2018 data. And the nearest to us in terms of in terms of cloud-based services, no, na near sa atin is that we're hooking it up with Singapore. So we usually hear our vendors or our representatives of AWS coming from Singapore. We have Filipino representatives, but they usually would say that we're working with AWS Singapore. No, they have a lot pa. I'm not so sure if there's some plans here in the Philippines or there is already in the Philippines. So someone might know more, no, in terms of it. So Microsoft Azure is one of the fastest growing cloud service among all the service because it has been utilized in a lot of service platform, no? Given that we are using Microsoft services and a lot are playing Minecraft as well. So a lot are playing Minecraft. We also have Xbox as a gaming system, no? And a lot are coming from Microsoft. So more than a lot of systems coming from Microsoft, from gaming systems, from laptops, from operating systems, from going to other ubiquitous systems, implementation. So we have a lot of systems coming from Azure. They also even have already a Google implementation soon. So we would hear a lot, we would see an expansion of Azure late on the next few years. So Azure was launched years after the release of AWS, and hence it's still competing with AWS, no? But AWS is the biggest, and Google Cloud, but it's still knocking on the door to become one of the top cloud service provider. And recently, Azure has been used to provide cloud services for the US government, so which is a big thing if you are in the technology business. So they have a lot of vendors as well, and the closest one vendor to us, again, is in Singapore. Okay, so yeah. And then lastly, we also have Google Cloud Services. So the Google Cloud platform is Google's cloud, simple as that. So similar to AWS and Azure, Google Cloud also offers similar services in various categories, including compute, storage, identity, security, AI, and machine learning, visualization, DevOps, and more. And I have enjoyed Google Cloud's services in terms of AI and machine learning for the past weeks. We have utilized Google Cloud as well in a lot of our, I think most of us have utilized Google Cloud in a lot of our processing, no, in terms of our pictures, no, our documents, so on and so forth. So yeah, kaya marami ng pera ang Google. And again, the closest one that we have for Google Cloud Services, no, as a for coordination, if you want to avail, you can use it online naman. You can avail it online. But if you want to know more, I think it's the closest, well, in terms of vendors, are in Singapore. So yun. So let's talk about common cloud examples, particularly cloud storage examples. I forgot the word storage there. So we have different softwares. We have Google Drive, Apple iCloud, and Dropbox. So it has been pointed out in the chat before that for G Drive subscription of around 100 gigabyte, so it's around 89 pesos per month, which is good already. But you know, 89 pesos is still 89 pesos, no? That's 2 kilos of rice already. So it's not for all, no? So I hope that there's a certain level of subsidies, no, in terms of our online online cloud services, particularly those who are in the government, because well, cloud services would be extensive, but we have a lot, no, of data coming in and out, and sometimes thumb drives are very compromised na as a tool for utilization. So yeah, so Google Drive, you know Google Drive, you've used Google Drive. It can be accessed using your computers and even your simple devices such as your cell phones, your smartphones, or your tablets. Apple iCloud is specific only for for Apple users, and it's available for iOS, Mac OS, and even Windows devices if it's installed with iTunes or any iCloud control panels. No, so but it's specific for for iOS implementations. iOS implementation, Apple product implementations. And we have the very popular Dropbox as well. Dropbox has been popular even before even before Google Drive. And I think this is one of the most popular even before Google Drive, no, which is a sync and storage. It's a sync and storage service, but it's now, and it has been that before, no, when the simple, but has now being implemented with the collaboration feature. It hasn't been it's pointed out in the chat in Facebook, no, OneDrive, no, cloud storage. I've been using OneDrive cloud storage to store my documents coming from the Microsoft 365. And OneDrive is very good, especially that a lot of our offices, particularly in government and even in private institutions, have partnership with Microsoft, no. So we have been utilizing, no, I think the government can attest to this as well. We have a lot of organizations using Microsoft. So you would like to, it would be best to utilize OneDrive as well. Now, given that my limitations na see Google as I indicated kanina. Okay, so here, so okay, so let's talk about business drivers to the cloud, no. Okay. Okay. So, let's talk about, no, this is not very technical. So we've been done with the technical. So, wait. Okay. Sige. Sige, since we've been in the technical, I'll answer this question na lang rin. No? In terms of the question from Sir Ryan is, what is the easiest workload, no? What is the easiest workload to move to the cloud? Forgive me for not being able to for not being able to talk about workload, no. It would have been nice, no, to be able to talk about workload. I'll grab my reference so that it would be easier to define. Dali lang ha. Let me. Okay. So, wait. Okay. So a simple answer in terms of workload, no, in terms of workload, um, is that a cloud workload, I'm just reading it now based on my reference, is a specific application service capability or a specific amount of work that can be run on a cloud resource or a cloud resource in a cloud service. So so virtual machines, databases, containers, such as in the case of PaaS, and nodes and applications are all considered as cloud workloads. So in terms of cloud workloads, um, the most basic and easiest workload to move to the cloud, since it is automatic, is it depends rin. Actually, for me, it depends. But the most easiest na pinakadali i-automate nimo is for example your backups, or for organizations like for example transfer of data or documents or files going to a cloud repository or storage, no. I'm not so sure as to how I can say what would be the easiest workload. For me, it depends on the necessary workload that you need to utilize in terms of a cloud service. So yeah, the most basic ones like file file storage, going to the cloud, automatic file storage, migrate. Yeah, good thing, no, si Sir Ahmad has indicated it, like data migration, data backup, testing and development, for example, no. Data analysis and machine learning is much more difficult because it utilizes much bigger resources and much bigger workload. So in terms of easiest workload, I think backups, and yeah, I think backups, because we do it, no, either automatically or manually, is the easiest workload to move to the cloud. In terms of may I ask, sorry, Sir Ryan, can you clarify if the workload that you're talking about is the cloud workload or workload in terms of office workload or school workload? It would help if I would get that. No? Maybe I answered the question wrong, because there's what we call as a workload in cloud services. Maybe you can clarify it in a while. Okay, I'll read it if once you already type it in. Good afternoon. My evaluation and assessment po ba after this session? I will leave that information with our friends from the DICT Mindanao Cluster 1. But rest assured, we're already done. Almost done. Almost done. I will stop talking already that much. Okay, so let's just talk about business drivers, because some of you might not be technical, no, might be in the technical field, but are looking at how you can implement cloud in your own individual organization or business entities or enterprise. So on IT, let's talk about IT infrastructure first, because it's very important to look at our IT infrastructure before going to a decision of putting in a server or putting in a cloud or availing a cloud service, no? An IT infrastructure consists of a set of physical and software applications that are required to operate by the entire service or enterprise. But an IT infrastructure is also a set of firm-wide services budgeted by management and comprising both human and technical capabilities. And we need to look at those at these points, because cloud services or even availing of IT infrastructure, both physical or in the cloud, needs necessary decision making, no? And an analysis of the needs and issues or problems or the solutions that the organization would like to implement. Okay, so you might have seen this particular diagram if you have seen the MIS book of Loudon, for example. So you have your business strategy, IT strategy, and information technology working together to look at to provide the necessary information to ICT and services and infrastructure. And take note that ICT services and infrastructure, as you would see in the diagram, works hand in hand in terms of how it applies to the processes or the services that you have in your organization. It's very important that you would need to look at business strategies, your IT, ICT strategies, and the current information technology resources that you have before jumping in terms of implementing ICT infrastructures and services. The services a firm is capable of providing to its customers, suppliers, and employees are a direct function of its IT infrastructure. Ideally, the infrastructure should support the firm's business and information system strategy. New information technologies have a powerful impact on business and IT strategies as well as the services that can be provided by the customer. So we need to take note of that we need to really look at the different factors, not just the technical, but also human resources, its implication to your finances, its implication to the operations that you have in the organization. Because changing a platform or changing a technology in your organization or your offices is not an easy task. And doing it haphazardly would be critical or would be problematic to your organization. So you need to be careful. So we talk about ICT infrastructure evolving. So we have the 1960s, you have the general purpose mainframe and microcomputer era. Then it moved to the personal computer era, no, starting with Steve Jobs in his garage, no, doing the first iteration of Apple computers. You have the client server era coming from the general purpose mainframe being re-implemented and redesigned. You have your enterprise computing era utilizing computers for enterprise purposes, such as in the case of IBM, no, strengthening those enterprise systems. And then we move on to the 2000s, no, working on the cloud and mobile computing era, given that our devices have become much more smaller and has been hooked now to wireless services more than ever. So yeah. So we have here the evolution of IT infrastructure. I will not be talking about this. I will just skip this because it's already 3:41. Di ko napansin oras, but you can read it later on. So IT infrastructure components, no, today is composed of 7 major components, and we need to think about this when we implement in terms of cloud-based services. In the past, technology vendors supplying these components are often in competition with one another, offering purchasing firms a mixture of incompatible, proprietary, partial solutions. But because of the implementation of the cloud, we have much more flexible solutions that can be accessed by different softwares or systems. That makes it much more easier and much more affordable for a lot of organizations, particularly small and medium organizations. So we have the different infrastructure components as indicated in this presentation. So you have your internet platforms, your data management and storage, your consultants and system integrators, you have networking and telecommunication, enterprise solution softwares, operating system platforms, and your computer hardware platform. So this works hand in hand in terms of your implementation of your ICT infrastructure. So that's we need to look at it, no, at this individual components as to how we can inject and implement our cloud-based services or the cloud-based services that we will be availing in the future, so that everything would be handled much more smoothly. And then once it gets implemented at the lower end of your organization, particularly your end users, it would become much more easier. So shaking things up immediately might not be the perfect solution, even though cloud-based services are flexible. So you need to really analyze your different infrastructure components so that cloud-based implementation would be much more better and easier for everyone. So enterprise must develop a methodical approach to embracing digital transformation and cloud and confront the following question: how do we situate such transformation in the complexity of the enterprise itself and the regulatory environment in which the enterprise operates? What considered integrated set of decisions should we make to ensure consistency and safety at scale, given that your data should be kept safe, and your processes should not be cut down just because of the implementation of your system. That's why we do parallel implementations, right? And how do we ascertain what success like in the short term, as well as what steps do we need to take in the long term as well? Take note that availing cloud-based services, even though being flexible and cost-effective, is still costly in a sense, even for small, particularly to small medium enterprises. So, no, for you to invest in this particular things, you need to really be certain as to its implication in the short term and the long term plan as well, particularly on its sustainability. So the enterprise, I think, wait, yeah, sorry, parehera siya. So what drives a business to the cloud? This is a very important question. Technology in general and the cloud specifically are only a means to an end. The end needs to be defined in terms of a business or mission, strategic intent, such as the following business drivers. You have your exceptional user experience, meaning that you want to make user experience better for them, accelerated time to market, high service quality, cost flexibility for organization, repeatability of systems and flexibility of systems, and safety, security, and compliance with regulation, particularly here in the Philippines, that we have two very good laws in terms of compliance. We have data privacy and we have our cybercrime prevention law. So, yeah. So cloud adoption can transform organizations by better empowering their workforces, and ultimately differentiating them from competitors. Cloud technologies can provide an enterprise a great opportunity to re-envision and reframe, their re-envision and reframe the organization's relationship with information technologies. It can also become a catalyst to go beyond re-envisioning and move forward, towards actual realization of IT implementation in our systems. Take note that cloud is very beneficial, as I've indicated earlier in this presentation. But again, it should be adopted slowly. Yes, it can reframe the organization's relationship with ICT, and that's why we need to be very careful in terms of this. So cloud computing has evolved from a risky and confusing concept to something that is much more easier to grasp and has a good implication in terms of the overall computing strategy of an organization. And the practical outcomes the company want to realize from cloud computing includes resource elasticity, cost flexibility, and self-service provisioning, which I've indicated earlier in this presentation. So what are intents to go towards the cloud? So again, we have creating a customer-focused enterprise. We have increasing flexibility and streamlining operations, driving innovation while managing costs, optimizing risk management as well. So these are some intents to really go towards the cloud. And it's not a big problem if you intend to go to the cloud, as long as you take into consideration the necessary resources that you have, both financial and human resource. Please do take note that individual vendors or individual cloud services have specific certifications. That's why human resource is very important. Human resource is very important in terms of putting in cloud services. As you would see here, later on, by the way, there is a need to really structure to structure your cloud-based services or availing of cloud-based services based on the capability of the ICT resources that you have, because that entails a particular knowledge, as to the cloud service. So yun siya. So actually, that's I have another slide set. Sorry, na-limit kasi siya because of my because of Canva. But I will upload the I will upload the slides in a while. Actually, I will send the link to the slides in a while. Okay, I will just take 10 more minutes in terms of this presentation, and then we can continue with the questions and question and answer later on. Okay, there you go. So let's go to part 2 of the presentation slide. There you go. I hope it's clear. I can see it man in my Facebook. Okay, there you go. So, okay. So there you go. So let's just talk about cloud adoption framework. I will skip over this. No, I'll just make it fast para we won't spend more time. No, over time. So the decision-making process to move to the cloud would be as follows. No, so think and envision the transformation to establish the strategic intent of the transformation. As I indicated earlier, yung mga strategic intent. Balance the transformation to decide what works best for the enterprise. And good analysis and planning is very important in implementing your movement to the cloud. And thrive on new foundations to realize strategic outcomes at scale and over a sustained period, given how the cloud can influence how the cloud can affect your long-term and short-term processes. So transformation involves much more than technology alone. People, processes, information, and culture are among important factors. Sorry for the wrong typing. Therefore, cloud process adoption and digital transformation come with challenges and exacerbate friction in existing constructs, meaning that it would really shake up the organization because people don't like change, especially in ICT. A lot of us know that, especially for those who are in the ICT field. No? So these are some challenges when transforming digitally and transforming towards the cloud. Organizations moving to the cloud must make migration and modernization decisions to determine the best fit for existing applications and data. Organizations require the right talent to fuel innovation and usually require organizational culture upgrades to support new ways of working to achieve the intended velocity of change. I would just like to point it out that when you go towards a particular implementation or cloud service, there is a certification for ICT, for your ICT team or ICT members or employees, so that they would be efficient enough in terms of knowing what particular features you would use in the system. So you can hire someone who knows already cloud computing and that particular service, but if not, you would need, I think it would be best that your employees would be trained enough for those particular. Sir, maka-provide ba kayo ng training on that? I think for that, certifications kasi comes from the vendors themselves, no, or the cloud services. So it would be best to come from to learn from the vendors themselves because merong thought process in terms of the the cloud service, no. Organization can encounter this as a tool selection made for traditional enterprise application development may not be the right ones for development for the cloud, meaning that some legacy systems or systems that are implemented with a certain development platform may not be a perfect fit, no, to your implementation. So yan. And then organizations require a development methodology that is suited for both cloud-enabled and cloud-native development, and as well as enabling management and delivery in a multi-cloud scale. And organizations face operational challenge in integrating, managing, and securing off and on-premises application and data as a consistent whole, meaning that sometimes because of the large scale implementation that you will need for the cloud, there are operational challenges that you would encounter in and out of the premises, particularly those that, particularly if you have a lot of locations that you need to take into consideration as well. So my question dito, my last question, sir, how do I develop a cloud strategy? Good question, because this is the answer for that. So since cloud adoption and business transformation can have far-reaching effects across an organization, and because getting started on this project can be quite daunting, cloud frameworks identify certain important dimensions to focus on. So this is where you can develop your cloud strategy. So these dimensions are observed to have direct effects on a business when you implement it in the cloud. No, in the business, and cloud adoption would be best to look at look at this particular components as well, or dimensions. So you would need to look at culture and organization. How would your organization's culture adapt to or encourage innovation? What are the current architectures and technologies that are available in your system or your infrastructure that should be adapted, that would adopt rather cloud services, so on and so forth. You also have security and compliance, looking at laws, policies that you currently have in your organization, emerging innovation spaces, particular methodologies in terms of software development, such as agile practices, what particular development processes or platform development life cycles that you follow, or development framework that you follow, service management and operations, so defining the cloud management framework, process and practice for operational environment, and defining governance in relation to cloud services and cloud acceleration. So you would need to look at this, at these dimensions to be able to develop a very good cloud adoption strategy. Okay. So here are some steps in adoption journey in terms of the cloud. Yes, I will send the presentation. I'll just put it at I put the link sa end para makita ng lahat. So creating journey map specific to organization can help you achieve the outcomes you have defined. In a rapidly changing agile environment, starting quickly with understanding business, business needs, and I have been repeating this all over again, business needs and evaluating required capabilities is the start of your adoption journey towards the cloud. So yan siya. Okay. So yun. So steps in adoption journey. So I will just indicate this one by one, and then siguro at least you can read the other stuff because it's already 3:55. So first is understand strategic intent. So understand and evaluate the strategic intent of the business. Prepare for your cloud adoption journey by evaluating technology and understanding key adoption practices and effects of organizational changes. Second, identify strategic opportunities. Identify opportunities to accelerate digital transformation by acknowledging maturity levels across capabilities. Take note that maturity, in a sense, does not just apply to technological maturity. Are we ready to adapt to the cloud? It also means maturity in terms of the ICT proficiency levels of your employees. You really need to look at how cloud can help out your employees and be able to put in necessary strategies to make work life much easier and much more proficient and much more productive. Then ideate and prioritize. When you talk about cloud implementation or adoption, you need to evaluate and prioritize ideas and recommendation. If you're a CIO, should hear other people as well. How does it affect finances? How does it affect human resources? How does it affect people, in general? So you need to look at those and not just implement cloud because you want to implement cloud because you're the CIO. No. You implement the cloud because there's buy-in from everyone that you implement cloud-based services. And then you pilot and prove, meaning that you test, prove, and pilot the recommendations in terms of cloud services, identify measurable outcomes, and look if these outcomes are being met, if there's a capability, and validate with your users if these outcomes are met. And once you have proven that cloud-based services are good, you scale it up, you try to implement more of the systems, and you define, and in a sense, redefine your strategic outcomes based on the effects that the cloud service has in your organization. Okay. Correct si Sir Christopher, no, that the biggest struggle in terms of migrating to the cloud is internet connection availability. So that's a big challenge for all of us, especially for those in the GDAS communities, no, or geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas in the Philippines. No, so yun. So many companies today are expanding into cloud computing as a way to reduce the cost and complexity delivering traditional ICT services, as I've indicated earlier. So there are benefits to implementing cloud-based services. No, so you need to balance it out. So I'll just skip this. Okay, skip ka na lang yan. So yun. So I'll just have a basic cloud security, cloud security basics na talk, no. I'll just take around the 5 minutes of your time. Hopefully 5 minutes lang to. I've been talking about it naman kanina rin, no? So I'll just skip this, no? I'll just skip that. So these are challenges in terms of cloud computing. Although computing and emerging mobile digital platforms have the potential to deliver powerful benefits, they pose new challenges to system security and reliability. So when processing takes place in the cloud, accountability and responsibility of protection of sensitive data still resides with the company owning that data. However, the organization or the vendor will also have some certain liabilities. No, again, looking at the fine print, you would be able to see ano yung responsibilities of the vendor. So understanding how the cloud computing provider organizes its services and manages its data is very critical. So, yeah. Sorry, I need to remove that. So yeah, cloud computing is highly distributed. So this is a fact, no? Cloud applications reside in large remote data centers and server farms. You would see that in a lot of documentaries, like for example in Google, no, about Google, that supply business services and data management for multiple corporate clients. So if it's down, then you don't have any choice. So cloud computing providers often distribute work to data centers across the globe so that it's easier for access, but there are some risks associated with it as well. There's security compromise, no, like spying, government spying, for example, but we won't discuss that because it's quite complicated. So the dispersed nature of cloud computing made it difficult to track unauthorized activity because it's dispersed and then data is passed from the data centers to the specific, from data farms to the specific data centers, such as in Singapore, for example. So virtually all cloud providers use encryptions, no, like SSL to secure the data. But you know, there are some hackers are quite tricky na rin, no? So they might have some tricks in their sleeves rin, no? So So what are security issues for cloud computing? So responsibility for security resides with the company owning the data. But then again, we have some certain provisions under the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, no, to at least ease the not ease but to make vendors liable as well. Ensuring protection is quite is as I've said earlier is a question in terms of cloud computing, and security, a service level agreement should be looked into, no, when you do cloud implementation. So so I'll just keep that. You can read it once you're okay. So let's keep that. So I would just like to say some best practices in the cloud to cap this off, no? So these are some best security practices, no, when you use cloud. So first, in physical security, you should cover security of IT equipment, network assets, and telecommunication infrastructure. Physical security. So kailangan ninyong lakaw ninyo inyong mga servers or inyong ICT infrastructure to be secured. But that's a standard. You also need to secure your human resource, no? Deal with the people side of the equation. Ensure background checks, confidentiality, and segregation of duties. And you should hire trustworthy people, no? Because sometimes hacking really is based on hacking really starts with people who are either very very lax, no, or those who really enters the organization to hack. No? So you need to look at the human security element. And then you need to look at business continuity because you cannot stop using cloud as soon as wala ka ng pera, no? Because it would become very hassle rate to transfer, retransfer, so on and so forth. So you need to look at the service level agreement and then how your business can continue working in terms of cloud services. Disaster recovery is important. Backups will be uploaded in your cloud, for example. So it might be secure, but ensure that your assets are protected. Okay. And then you also have incident handling changes in the cloud, meaning that if there are some problems that you've encountered with the cloud, you need to document it and report it to the vendor. And then application security changes in the cloud, you need to also uncover, expose security threats that you might have encountered. No, so you need to look at it so that your system would be secure, and even for other people as well. Identity and access management controls are very important when you implement cloud-based services. And as always, security based on encryption and key management is very important. Okay. So these are some other cloud security best practices similar to what I've said a while ago. So you can just read on it. And lastly, okay, these are the questions you need to ask for your provider, just in case that you will be availing the service. First, what security policies do they have in place, and what is it consistent to the recognized framework and control standards in the industry right now? Second, does the provider have any industry certifications? Third, how does the provider meet audit standards? Fourth, does the service provider have documented policies and procedures, including escalation procedures in the event of a particular incident? Fifth, how does the provider handle identity and access management? And lastly, how does the provider provide data? Because you will be working with them for the next years, and trust is very important when you avail of their services. So asking these questions are not a big problem. Kung manliligaw ka nga, di ba? Or may manligaw sa'yo, nagtatanong ka nga kung what are your likes? You would look for red flags. So similar to relationships, looking for red flags when you select vendors for cloud services, you should also look for red flags, no? And you should look for what they can offer to you, no? Wag magpa easy lang. Play hard to get minsan sa vendor so that they would work hard in terms of giving you and providing you the better services for implementing cloud-based processes and services. So I think I would like to cap that presentation with that. Here are the references for everyone's perusal in terms of this particular presentation. Most of the contents are from these references. I just extracted it from there. Forgive me for not having the time to really put in the individual resources for each presentation slide. But in general, these are the references and the web sources as well. So again, I am Raul Vincent W. Lumapas. You can contact me using my email at rbwlumapas@adu.edu.ph or arisen.lab@adu.edu.ph, and that's the phone number of our office. So if you have any questions, you can answer your questions. And for those who are in the Zoom chat, I will just be sending the presentation slide here. So for everyone's what they call this, everyone's information and reference. So thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. For those who will be joining tomorrow, I will still be seeing you tomorrow for the AI. We will just make it as simple as possible and as easy as possible for those who are starting to get to know AI. So if you have any questions related to this topic, even for tomorrow, since mabasa niyo yung presentation, you can ask the questions then tomorrow. So again, thank you very much. Thank you to the DICT MC1. And if you have any questions, I am open for other supplementary questions if possible. If you have some, rather. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Raul, for a very insightful and enthusiastic presentation. for the
Okay,
crash course on
I'll
cloud
stop the share.
computing.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so for those who wish to ask Sir Raul any more clarifications or questions, you can do so in our Q&A or through our chat box for the Facebook Live participants. Okay, so I don't think meron na silang questions, Sir Raul. Very clear and dami nilang natutunan based sa mga comments. So sa mga humihingi po ng presentation, it's already on our chat box. You just have to click and download the presentation in PDF format po yan.
Okay. Sige, I'll just send you the is there a way to pin the chat? Sorry. I'll just send the link for everyone's perusal na lang. So, the DICT can post it siguro.
Yes, sir. We can also send the presentation via email to our participants.
Okay, here I would ask everyone to please stop chatting for at least 2 minutes so that I can resend back the presentation slides for so that everyone can extract it for the meantime. So I'll just ask for everyone to pause chatting for the meantime. If you have any question, you can use the question and answer module in Zoom. Okay. Thank you. I'll answer this question lang. Sorry, Ma'am Dana. I would like to ask if we're going to use one of the cloud services. Yes, we will be using Google Colab tomorrow. Tanong ko lang po, sir, if mag-master in computer science or master in computer engineering, pag ang natapos is information, yes, you can. Actually, you can. CS and IT is a very generic, well, not generic, but a very wide field, no? And you can take BSCS or masters, MSCS or DS, even if you are BSI. So, yeah. I think that's all. I'm good. Thank you very much, Miss Dana.
Yes, thank you so much, Sir Raul. Ayan po, sa mga naghahanap ng ating presentation, it's already on our chat box. And for those asking for the evaluation and attendance link, we will be giving it later after this awarding of certificates. So we are very happy to have you, Sir Raul, as one of our resource speakers. Ayan, so we will be giving you a certificate of appreciation. This is hereby presented to Sir Raul Vincent W. Lumapas for sharing his insight and expertise as a resource person during the webinar on digital transformation technologies with the topic on significance of cloud computing conducted on December 14, 2021 via Zoom video communications. Given this 14th day of December 2021, signed by the Regional Director of the DICT Mindanao Cluster 1, Director Maria Teresa M. Tamba. Let's give Sir Raul a round of applause naman po. And see you again tomorrow, Sir Raul. But before we will have our raffle drum, I request our panelists to turn on their cameras for a quick picture taking. Joining also us is the focal lead of the ILCD for the DICT Mindanao Cluster 1, Sir Rodrigo Macansantos. Okay, I think we're ready. At the count of 3, just give us your biggest smile. Ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Sir Raul. And now we will be having our raffle draw. That's 2 more additional winners of 100 pesos prepaid load cards. So I think everyone's excited po na manalo ng ating load cards. Okay, for our first winner, let's spin the wheel. Yan, type say 1. For our first winner, sorry, that's the second winner today, Sir Chris J. Lombres Lailo. Congratulations, Sir Chris J. We will be sending you an email within the week for your load card. And for our last winner for today, let's spin the wheel. Congratulations, Sir Eugene C. De Fiesta. He is our third winner for today. So come back again yet tomorrow. We will be having our webinar session still on digital transformation technology. And we will be having Sarah Ul again for the artificial intelligence. And just a reminder for the issuance of our certificates, don't forget to join the live session via Zoom or Facebook Live and submit a daily post evaluation. This will be given shortly for those who are asking. And make sure to pass the quiz, strictly accessible until 12 midnight. Wait for your e-certificate within 1 to 2 weeks, where a passing score of 70% is required to complete the course. This certificate of participation will be issued to participants who will be able to comply with the training requirements mentioned. And also for those who are from the Mindanao Cluster 1, that's Zamboanga Peninsula, and the Basulta, Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi, we are inviting you for the Philippine Startup Challenge 2021 call of entries for the student category. You can visit our Facebook page, and for more details, just click on the link where you can pitch your startup challenge ideas. So the evaluation is now posted in our group chat, so please don't forget to answer our evaluation for today's webinar. Also, the evaluation link is posted on our screens and also at the comment section of our Facebook Live. So again, this link will be available until 12 midnight. Okay, so that would be all for today's webinar session on digital transformation technologies. Again, this is your host, Dana. Have a nice day. Stay safe, everyone.